Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up. I was going to bring it up. A lot of people, and no matter how many times I tried to say it, people just want to go down a bad path with
Yeah,
everything.
it's true. I think sometimes people are, and look, I'm maybe included in that where you just don't understand in the moment. But as John rightfully said in the moment, look, shit happens that's bigger than football. And this was clearly what happened with Za'Darius. John, can you tell me if I'm reading this wrong? I don't want to say it on the show before you tell me if I'm way off base. This is the direct quote from Za'Darius Smith. I wasn't supposed to retire, Smith said. I wasn't going to tell the story, but I'm going to tell it. I got a phone call from my mom's doctor telling me she don't have much longer to be on this earth. I let the team know. Obviously, they wasn't trying to let me leave, but that was the only thing I had left to retire. So I retired. Did the Eagles try and not let him leave for that?
Well, they were trying to no, they were trying to talk him in to staying because they valued him so much. And by the way, as I tried to explain to people, he was very happy here. He was having a good time. It was not
Wasn't anything to do with the Eagles. It was
so
everything from
basically they were trying to say offer support and say we can help you here, but we want you and things like that. And he was at the point where he just wanted to walk away.
he just wanted to clear his mind of any
Yes,
work obligations and be with his family. It sounds like.
exactly.
Yeah.
So and the one issue he did have being in Philadelphia, and he said it to us, and I tell you, you can ask Ed, you can ask a bunch of reporters. Like he got here and he's one of our favorite people. I mean, he was open, honest. He talked to you every single day. The locker room was open. He was enjoying it. He was enjoying the defense. He was playing well. Um, so it popped up, and I knew it was family related, but I can't talk about that kind of stuff. I didn't know about the extent of what was going on, but I tried to offer hints, and people just don't want to take them. Um, that there's bigger things than football. But in the case of, the Eagles are like they've done with Lane Johnson for, when he's had some mental health struggles, you do your best to help the player through it. But, ultimately, yes, you have two goals. You want to win football games. And last year at that particular time, Za'Darius Smith was very important to the Eagles defense. I think
Yeah.
people
Right.
forget. They didn't want to lose him. So, they were trying to offer support and things like that. Um, but he just felt he had to get away.
Yeah. I can't. I
And
mean,
and
can
and
anybody blame him? By the way, and the story got a little worse for Za'Darius, and
yeah,
credit to him for powering through it. Not only did he lose his mother shortly thereafter, but he lost, I believe, his grandmother and his
yeah,
father as well. So
yeah,
three people Za'Darius lost last year. That's a lot on any person, John. I mean, I can
yeah.
certainly understand it. I
Well,
will
and
say I'm happy we have you to always share the context. But for people who and many people who don't get that context, oh, it sounds a little odd on the Eagles. And again, I think you're right. The way you explain it is obviously the team wanted him. He's a good player, and they were going to give him the support, but he just wanted to get the heck out of here, and that
yeah,
makes a lot of sense. But for anybody who doesn't have the context, I wonder if the Eagles are going to get some shit for that.
probably. I mean, they get shit for Jeffrey Lurie going into the franchise Hall of Fame yesterday, and everybody saying, "Oh, Jeffrey Lurie's putting himself in the Hall of Fame."
Well, that
That
was funny. I
well,
mean, he is
but
a Hall
yeah,
of
but
Famer,
I mean,
but
they have a committee.
yeah, right.
He doesn't pick the people. It's and look, he's the owner. It's not like, but I mean, he's also deserving. I
He's
mean,
very
it's
deserving.
like a
Yeah.
slam dunk
John, you ever
franchise
see
Hall of
that
Fame.
Snoop Dogg at the podium though, where he goes, "I want to thank me. I want to
Yeah,
thank me for believing in me." That's
yeah,
what it reminds. I get. I think Lurie is a Hall of Famer, but it was funny.
yeah, and a lot of people went down that route to the point where even though it was pointed out, it is a committee that does it. Jeffrey doesn't pick the people, but um Yeah, I from the standpoint of Za'Darius, the one thing he did struggle with, because he is from Alabama, he's a Southern guy. He wasn't close to home, and he would say it all the time.
Right.
He would talk about his kids all the time, and obviously his mother was in, um, so it was difficult for him being so far away.
Yeah, they're Alabama, I believe.
Yeah,
He's an Alabama fan. Yeah.
and that's why money, but it's always money. But he likes to be in Atlanta, to be as close as possible. But yeah, it's just happened recently. There was a controversy with Ed Oliver in Buffalo, who's went through a horrific tragedy. His 2-year-old son, I believe, I think it was a son, drowned. And that's got to be difficult. And he didn't want to talk about it, and he didn't want to share it publicly, and somebody let it leak, and everybody in Buffalo knew what was going on. But when it's personal, you don't report those things unless the player wants to talk about it. If it becomes public, you want to ask them the question, that's fine. But personal is personal. And that's why we tend to stay away from those things, because it's not football related. We're there to cover the football team.
Yeah. Well, Za'Darius, good for him. He was able to battle back through, obviously, 3 things that happened that are huge events in his life. He signed with the Atlanta Falcons, and did mention his mother, as John just pointed out. I always wanted them to play in Atlanta because it's so close to home in Alabama. So good stuff for Za'Darius Smith. I just wanted to bring that up because I do feel as though his retirement left with a lot of unanswered questions for the fan base, and many people speculated, the locker room must have been horrible with Za'Darius retiring, and so did Jair Alexander last year. But obviously, some things are bigger than football, and that was.
And by the way, Jair come out and did his Players Tribune thing. Had nothing to do with the Eagles. He lost his confidence. Just didn't feel like he could be the guy he was. And it wasn't getting better. So, it's funny how none of those things end up the way people want to make them. But I don't know. They always go that direction. It's like, and it's usually not. It's usually something off the field. It's usually something that isn't in relation to the team. Not always. It could be, but rarely. There's usually something deeper.
Yeah.
And in both those cases, there was something deeper.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, good stuff. We'll move on here.